start with record and replay. The main aspect of automation is about storing the object in the repository. So without storing the object in the repository, there is no replay activity. So if you, whether it is tape recorder, gramophone record, or your MP3 players, iPads, anything, if you see, everything records the information and then you are able to replay back your movies or songs or anything. So from that perspective, QTP automation tool, we all know it is used for the regression testing purpose. The reason for the regression testing, because the object has to be stable. So when I go with the regression testing, I need to understand how the objects are recognized. And I need to store those objects into a place, and that repository is what that place is. So when I do recording, when I click on record, I open the sample application as well. Even though I am doing the practice with the sample application, you can also do it with any of the application as you feel like, so that the experience is intact and you can come up with your questionnaire in the next session. That will become easier, because I cannot cover everything in this 30 hours. We cannot cover everything unless otherwise I get your support on practice. Right. I am opening the application, sample application. We all know that the sample application uses any 4 characters as a username and password is always Mercury. Now, when I start this recording, the purpose of the recording is QTP uses this option, record option, and stores the object into the repository. So here, the default recording mode, you can see a record and run settings. In this record and run settings, by default in your screen, please note when you are starting as a fresh, by default you will be in this mode, record and run only on. This is the mode by default you will be landing into. First time, these are all the starting trouble that you may get in the QTP. Application opened by quick test, application specified below. You can see with the flight resolution that we have opened, we have not opened through quick test. So we have not opened the application through quick test. Application specified below, there is no application specified below application details. So if I start recording with this settings, by default, generally we don't read any of the messages or warnings, anything. We straight away click OK and we start recording. And sometimes people will not see whether the script is generated to the left or not. They'll continue to type as I am doing now. I have typed the date button. I have finished the Denver. I have finished Frankfurt. You can see now left hand side there is no script generated. Still they will continue like this and insert. After all this event they complete, then they will stop it and they will say QTP is not working. Very simple. So when you come to that mode of complaining others, we stop learning. So we have to now look at, because one is this QTP is an international tool and QTP used by most of the companies across the organization, lead organizations. In that situation, how can this can be a failure? So again, if you try to record, you can see now I don't get that record settings again. That window doesn't appear. It appears for the first time. So in such situations, what we need to do? So it is available under automation, record and settings. It is available under automation, record and setting. This is the place where you save or record the objects, right? And this is where the setting is happening. If I have Java add-in, I may have a Java one more tab, Java application, that will have to make you to link to the jar file. So you, based on the add-in, the tabs will increase. Right now I don't have a Java add-in, so I have only Windows application. In Windows application, I change the settings to record and run test on any open Windows based application. This is the normal setting we use for our most of the projects. So I go with this setting. This is to understand how the record works. Record is one activity, replay is another activity. There is no link between a record and a replay activity. Replay is an independent activity and replay works based on certain settings as configured. Record works based on certain settings as you are configured. So both are independent activities. Both has a relation. Now I go with record and run test on any open based application. Again, before I record, I like you to see the object repository. In object repository, you can see now there is no objects added to the repository. Object absolutely empty. You can see that now. Fine. Let us move ahead. I now see that object repository is empty. Perfect. Next, I continue to record the activity. Record, setting is changed. Just a second, there is a warning for me on usage of, just give me a second. Right. Now I am going to start my recording. So I started, I selected the flight reservation, I activated my flight reservation. As I activate, you can see to the left the script is getting added. The way the script added is basically object.action. Now what you see the window in the left hand side is called expert view window. So I am typing the data flight. As I move to the next field, you can see that the script is getting added. Right? For each and every action that you perform, ensure that the script is getting added. That is the first thing you need to understand. So for every action that you perform on the application, you ensure that the script is getting added to the left hand side QTP window. Right? I continue now. I select tickets. I insert this order. So there is a important point in the recording or in QTP is, as I said, QTP works based on the add-in. So the thumb rule of automation is the application under test has to be opened only after QTP is invoked. So when you invoke the QTP first, the add-ins are being moved to the memory and add-ins are now ready to watch what is happening. Then if you open the application under test, he will make the relationship between the application and the add-in. So when you record, the recording has to be after the application is opened either by QTP, or you need to open the application after you open the QTP. So you cannot have the application under test opened before even you open the QTP. Then the binding will not happen. The add-in might not be properly working. So always the thumb rule is QTP has to be opened first, then only you need to open the application under test. So be careful on this, especially on the browser side or the external add-ins like Java, etc. Standard will not give much of an issue, but the other add-ins, if you use, the application has to be opened only after QTP is invoked. Please note this point. Fine. I am now going to run this. We all know that if I want to run it, it will be running very fast. So what I will do because there will be a refresh issue, I will go to options, tools, options, then run. I'll make my normal display execution marker. I will make it to say I'll make it to 2-second delay for our understanding, initial understanding. I apply it. I say OK. Now when I run the script, you see now what happens. Is able to replay now. So I'm clicked on run. It has opened the run setting window, and now it is, you can see left hand side there is an execution marker, one yellow marker that you are able to see there to the left. That yellow marker indicates that the execution is happening, and this yellow marker means that you have a script debugger, Microsoft script debugger installed. Please make a note. If Microsoft script debugger is not installed, you will not able to debug the script. One, there are certain activities you can, now I'm running it in the slow mode, you cannot run it in the slow mode as well. So first is you cannot run it in the slow mode. Second, you cannot debug the script. Third, there is in the recovery manager, there is a post recovery event that will not work if debugger is not installed. So it is always advisable that you have the script debugger installed. In case during the installation of QTP, if you are not able to get the debugger, right, so or install the debugger, you can do it later by going through this after installation. If you don't have a debugger installed, go to all programs, go to QTP professional. In QTP professional there is called additional components, there it is. In under tools there is called additional installation requirements. That means at the time of installation, because Microsoft script debugger is not part of the QTP, at the time of installation, if you are not connected to the internet, he will not install script debugger. If you have connected to the internet, he will install the debugger. In this additional installation requirements, you will see a line item called debugger here. Now you are not seeing it because I have already installed. So you check that box again, uncheck all the others, check that box, run it. So in this window you will see that Microsoft script debugger one item, line item will be there. You check it again, run the script again, automatically he downloads it and then installs it. So Microsoft script debugger is very useful component. Second, now we are coming back to replay. So after the replay you can see now the result. We'll talk about this result in details as we get into the session. Right now let us not worry about on this. So this result viewer automatically gets opened up. I don't want this to open up as I finish my run. So for that, where is the setting? Go to tools, go to options, go to run. In this run you can see there is a setting called view results when run session ends. If I uncheck this, that will be taken care of. Please note, when you don't have a Microsoft script debugger, this display execution marker is a normal mode. This will work only if you have a Microsoft script debugger. Otherwise by default it will be in the fast mode. If you don't have a Microsoft script debugger, he will send a warning at the first time when you run the application. So if you want that to be in the normal mode, please select the normal mode. I say apply. I now say OK. Now I am coming to the relationship between what you see here, the name, and what is behind. So as I finish my recording, if I open up my repository, you can see now the repository is having the objects that I have performed action. It is not having, please remember, it is not having all the objects. It is having those objects on which I have performed my action. So flight reservation is an activate flight reservation. So he is having a flight reservation. Then flight reservation dot WinEdit. So in flight reservation window you can see a WinEdit here. WinEdit data flight. So there is a data flight. We converted this data flight using our non-standard object, converting non-standard to standard object. That is why I am getting it as a WinEdit. And dot set is nothing but action performed on that object. The last portion of the thing 12, 12, 13 is nothing but data I have passed to that object. So set is the method, 12, 12, 13 is the data that I passed. WinEdit, window, these two are the objects. If you come to this object, the flight table, dialog box, that is, I click the OK button. After I click this flight button, I got the details of the flight in a window. After that flight details, I click this OK button. For example, if I want to know the line number 6, I place my cursor at line number 6. I want to know what that line number 6, what actually I performed in that line number 6. I go to the active screen below. There is an active screen below the quick text. I selected that active screen. In this active screen, you can see now the OK button is selected. So this OK button is what this line number 6 is all about. So I'll move to the name. You can see a pink color mark. I'm going back to the OK button. So I'm going back to the click of OK button. That is, you can see that there is a pink color mark on that OK button. This is the object I have acted on. And this object is not directly binded to flight reservation. It has a child object called dialog. Under that dialog, this win OK button is there. So flight, under that flight table is another object, and under that object you have a OK button. So this hierarchy in which object is being recognized, you have to be very clear with. These are all some of the important points that you have to note when you are going inside the advanced concepts of automation. Right? Automation, as I again telling you, automations are very important from the perspective of remembering what you are doing. Second, if you have to get an expertise, you have to practice. When you are saying practice, it is not that you have to work in an organization. You can practice, you have to dedicate at least some time in a day and practice it with any of the applications that is available, that is you are accessing. It can be a Gmail. Automate. Try to automate a Gmail. Of course, you are going to see your own password, everything. So you don't have to worry about it. Try to see how the mails are added. Today you record, tomorrow you replay. So you don't have to say that I don't have a experience, I cannot work on automation. That is not required. What you need is how comfortable you are with the tool, what are all the complications that you face with the automation, and when you are asking in an interview some questions, how confident you are going to answer that questions. For that, what is required is after attending the training, because the faster you learn, faster you forget. Unless otherwise you practice, you cannot remember all the features that we are going to discuss here. In fact, this session is going to be never-ending session for me, because I am going to keep on adding a lot of things to my Open Mentor site as well. So in future we may have a donate button, so you'll donate as you like, and we'll keep adding the information onto the site. So that is what our plan is. Ultimately we don't want to stress anybody, but learning is important. The technology is changing every day. So please remember, don't ever say that you don't have a opportunity to work in an organization. As long as we are not making it commercial, please remember QTP can be used. Investment, maybe you may invest it on one operating system like XP or something. XP is in Indian rupees, it is 1500 rupees. So it is all available. Invest something, try to keep practicing, because the next session that we will have after this 30 hours of session will be a load runner project. That's another session. Multiple skills are required today. So anyway, we will come to that later. Now, this is the basis of the automation. So we have recorded all the recorded objects, or all the objects on which I performed action are being added to the repository by default. This is the second way of objects being added to the repository. And the way the repository is a tree structure, and parent object is the first, second the child object, then child object if it is having. So that is the way, the sequence in which the objects are stored in the repository. Now I am going to change in this repository. Please note, watch my screen. You have a flight reservation in the screen. Now I am going to change it in the repository. I am changing that to, I am removing the reservation from that flight reservation. Logical name I am changing. Please make a note. I am changing the logical name of the object. As I move to the next line, that means the change is stored. You can see the script now. Note the script. The script is now changed. The script is now, the flight reservation has been moved as flight. So the logical name is what is binded between the script and the repository. So if the logical name is changed, you can see now the script is also changing. Flight underscore reserve. I'll say RESC. You can see the left hand side again. As I move the line, you can see the left hand side that is being changed. So any change I do to the local repository, wherever that object is used in the script, he will change those as well. Right? Please make a note on all these points. This is only a logical name change. If I now run the script, you may think that the script might fail because the flight reservation is not the actual guy. But the script doesn't fail because the recognition of the object in the application under test happens through description properties. If I try to highlight through the repository, you can see now he is highlighting. I have clicked on the highlight. You can see now flight reservation is being highlighted. I am doing it again for your understanding. You can see there is a blink happening onto that flight reservation screen. That indicates that the object is being recognized. Right? So fine. I close the repository now. I run the script for your understanding. You can see now it is able to execute the script without any problem. So even though the logical name is changed. So the first and foremost important thing is logical name is very important for QTP to bind script with the repository. So without that binding, QTP will not recognize the object. So now logical name we have understood. Second, I am going to now change something else in the script. Now it is still adding the record. It is inserting the record. It is done now. So I'll go back to the script. Now what I do is I am changing the logical name in the script now. Say the from object, there is a colon there in the from object. I am removing the colon from the script, not in the repository. From the script I am removing the colon. Please note, now I am removing the colon from the object. Now if I remove it, if I come to the keyword view, you can see a question mark there against that fly from. Against this fly from, you can see a question mark. This question mark in the keyword view indicates that he is not able to bind script object and the repository. So the script object here is fly from. So he is not able to bind script object to the repository. For example, if I try to remove the E from the first activity, first button, I remove the E now. Last time I changed it from the repository. Now I removed it from line number 1. I removed E from the flight reservation. I now come to the keyword view. You can see now the keyword view, this flight reservation is not recognized. So the keyword view tells or passes the information to you how the object is related with reference to the repository. These are all indicators. Now I come back to the keyword expert view. I remove that, the first one, I make it back normal. As I make it back to the normal flight RSC, you can see now keyword view also is changing to back to the original format. Next I am coming back. I have changed now from fly from object. I removed the colon, and you can see that effect in the keyword view. There is a question mark attached to that fly from. Now I am going to run the script. see what happens. See what happens when I run the script. He is trying to execute the action. So he is now activating the flight reservation. Now he is coming to fly from. He is not able to now identify the object. You see the error message that is being displayed. So fly from win combo box object was not found in the object repository. Please note the error. Fly from win combo box object was not found in the repository. So he is not, the logical name that is used in the script is not available in the repository, and the error message is immediate. As soon as he accesses the line, he tries to see the object in the repository, and since the object is not found, he comes up with the error immediately saying the object is not found in the repository. And you can see this debug etc. This will not appear in case Microsoft Script Debugger is not installed, and the error will not be most appropriate. Now exactly which line has delivered an error, he says. If you don't have a script debugger, he may say the line error is in the first line always. But he displays the error, but the error message may not be clear. Again, I stop that error. I stop my script running. Now I'll change back fly from to the normal one. You can now see after I change, you can see in the keyword view that fly from is identified with the object. There is no problem. Now what I do now is I go to the resources, I go to the object repository. Now for the same fly from, I change now the description properties. In description properties, I change the class name BO now. I remove the X from the class name. One letter I remove or add, whatever I want to do, I can do it. Now this time I am not changing the logical name, I am changing the description properties of the object. Now I run the script, see what happens. I saved it, I close it, now I run. Now you will not see the difference in the keyboard view because now the description property is changed. So I now run the script. Running the script now. Watch it now what happens when it reaches the fly from. So line number 2 got executed. Line number 3 is now getting executed. Line number 3, as per QTP, logical name is able to match. So he accessed that logical name in the repository. Using that logical name in the repository, using the description properties, he is now trying to access the application under test, that object. And in application under text, there is no native class as win combo. Because of that, he is coming up with the error message here. And he took time in this mode. And this time is called object synchronization timeout. So here you can see now cannot identify the object fly from of the class win combo box. Verify that this object's properties match an object currently displayed in your application. So this class he is not able to manage. This is the QTP class because the native class you have changed to win combo. The native class is the identification properties, and he is trying to see the win combo in the native class in the application under test. He is not able to find it, and because of that he is making an error. And this error is not a problem with the logical name, it is a problem in the description properties. So these are all some of the important concepts on a basic record and replay. Now I come back to fly from. I now change that combo, instead of BO I change it to box. I now save it. Save is by default happens as I move the script line. I say OK. Now I run the script. You can now see that he is able to run without any problem. Now you can see that he is able to select the fly from and he is able to continue the run. This is the basics of record and replay. And the type of recording that we have seen now is called context sensitive recording. So by default, QTP goes with the context sensitive recording. They also call it as normal recording. They also call it as standard recording. So QTP by default binds it with the logical name with the repository. This is about simple record and replay. If you have any questions, please let me know.